everything to be an underground king. Underground king. I sacrifice everything to be an underground king.
I done messed around and got a little goober on my hands, man. Look at that. Can you see that? Man, I done got a little too excited with the clear. Now here's a close-up of it. It ain't too bad, but it's still a little goober. We got to get that up out of there. The customer wanted nice, but he ain't want to run in it. We was putting that thing on too heavy. Let's get going. First things first, got me some 1000 grit. I got me a little block on the inside of the sandpaper. So, not too hard of a block, but not too soft. And as you can see, starting to sand over that nice little run, the little sag that we got. Kind of got a little X pattern going here. But I'm pretty much just focusing on the run. Not so much the area, but trying to stay on the run itself and break it down a little bit. Got my water bottle and just keeping it wet. Now as you can see, I'm using the edge. Instead of using the whole block and covering a big area, I can use that edge and get on top of that run and kind of focus still on the run and just block it down itself instead of the whole area itself. If that makes sense to you. So if you're paying attention to, how I'm doing this, you can kind of see the strokes that I have going and the direction that they're going in. So still again, a little cross pattern. You'll see the strokes going in one direction, then I'll switch up and start going in a different direction. But again, we're still trying to focus mainly on that run and try to block it down with that 1000 grit. Not no real long strokes, just short strokes and focusing in on that sag. Keeping that panel clean. I'm just checking my area. I can pretty much see it because of the reflection, so you can definitely see the reflection of the run if it's still there while I'm cleaning it off with the water. Just getting a lot of that residue from the clear out of my way so I can see it. So normally you would take like a squeegee or something and clean the panel off and then continue if you see the run, but that run is definitely going to show up if you wet it down with that water. You'll be able to see it, don't worry. And now that I got it broke down pretty good like I wanted, I switch up and I start sanding the area now. I flattened out the run enough to where now I can smooth out the whole area, kind of blend it all in so it all looks like a nice flat panel. So now we just gonna refine everything, you know, get any trash or anything out that we might have got in the clear. We're just gonna clean it up a little bit more. Now that we got the panel cleaned off, just switching up to 2000, still using the same block, but switched up to 2000 grit. Getting that panel ready. As you can see, you don't really see the run any longer. And now we're still working the whole area now. Just stretching it out a little bit further. Like I said, blending it in. Still counting them strokes. Keeping it in the area that I want to keep it in. I'm not trying to do the whole panel, just the area that is needed. And this is simply just repeating the process. It's just with 2000 grit, and we just going to refine those 1000 grit scratches with the 2000, just to make it a little bit easier for us when we do our polishing with the polisher and the compounds and all that good stuff. We'll be getting to that in just a little bit. As you can see, I'm going back to using that edge, just making sure I'm getting over that sag once again. But that edge, you might have that sandpaper where you done used it a couple times and it done broke down. It's not cutting like it was, but those edges, that's all fresh paper. So it's gonna cut a whole lot better than if you use that flat surface that you've been using several times over. Those edges not getting used as much, so they're gonna cut a little bit better than the surface of the sandpaper that you have been using. I clean the surface again, and now I'm on the third step of the sanding process. Now, with that 2000, you probably didn't have to go through this step, but I'm taking it a step further and I'm going with the 3000 on the DA. Again, just going to refine them 2000 scratches with 3000. That's all I'm doing here. Just trying to make it a whole lot easier for when I pull that wheel out, pull out that polisher, and start polishing that panel back. Just going to make it a whole lot easier for me, a whole lot less work for me. Just making it a whole lot easier on yourself. That's all we're doing here, just refining them scratches. Now we're getting down to the good stuff. I'm getting my wheel ready to get started. Kind of priming it up. Working the compound into the panel, into the area that I have cut with the sandpaper. Of course, you can see I'm using a cheap Harbor Freight wheel. I have a Makita, but I got to do some little work to it. The extension cord on it, or the power cord on it, has been acting up on me, so I'm going to have to service that. So we are working with this cheap Harbor Freight polisher. But you'll see, we'll get the job done. Don't worry about it. Now on the wheel, I put on some McGuire's compound. So that's what I'm using. Some McGuire's products. And as you can see, I'm moving pretty fast with the wheel. Normally, depending on what type of scratches you got left in your panel, you might want to sit there a little bit longer. But we at 3000, so it's polishing back real nice. And all I'm going to have to do is just go over it, a few times to make sure I got it like I want. But I'm keeping that wool pad moving. You don't want to sit on that panel too long, get it too hot. I'm already on top of some edges, so I want to keep that thing moving. That way I don't burn through that clear on them edges, and then this thing really turns into a big issue. You don't want to have to go back in and start blending that panel when you already got this far and you was already done with the job. Now that we got the first step done and out the way, I grab me a clean microfiber towel and I'm wiping everything down, getting off that excess compound. As you can see, we got a nice shiny surface already. So we're gonna clean it up with some machine glaze next, and we just gonna keep on refining it, making it nice, getting it ready for the customer. Now switching up to our glaze, changed our pad, and again, getting ready to work in that glaze into the area, just priming it all up. Already primed the pad, and we're good to go. And again, we repeat the process. As you see, I'm stretching it out a little bit more, and I'm taking my time with that glaze, working the whole area. You can see I'm going past the fender into the door, just blending it all in real nice. Just watching and paying attention to what I'm doing. But I'm keeping that foam pad moving. Sorry, not a foam pad, a wool pad. As you saw, I went right back to that polish again, or the machine glaze. Got me a little bit more, and I'm going right back at it again. Like I said, I'm going over that panel and just stretching it out just a little bit more. Just cleaning up that whole fender. Make it all blend in real nice. Now, there's multiple ways of doing this. Everybody got their own technique. I'm just showing you, what I'm doing and what my process is for this particular job. I know there's multiple ways of cutting runs, whether it's with a razor blade or using glaze or sometimes with a marker, different ways to figure out, you know, how to see the run and everything. But hey, this is just one way, and this might work for you or it might not. But let's continue. Now stepping up to my final step, you see I switched over to the Vevor DA polisher, orbital polisher, whatever you want to call it. And we have switched up to a swirl mark remover and a foam pad, a waffle foam pad. And now I'm just going over the whole fender, making sure if I have any swirls, I'm cleaning them up with my foam pad. Getting a nice finish on this thing. And that Vevor, it works good. We've seen results of it before. Pretty good tool to have in your arsenal. It's working out real nice. And I'm telling you, man, you have this little setup, it's gonna get them swirls out real easy for you. You see I'm going into the door, just cleaning it all up, making sure it's all nice. And here is the finished product of the work that was put in. And if you got a real good eye, you can tell that the sag is not completely out. It's tough to see, but if you can tell by that reflection, you know It's not completely out, but it's going to do the job for the customer. He has a sale on this truck, so it's had to be one of those in and out. Don't have to be perfect, but good enough for the sale. So jump in the comments, tell me what you think about this one, and if this video helped you out. This is another one in the books. And kings and queens, I'ma see you in the next video.